Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Post-Colonial Studies Conference organized in collaboration with the Bonington Gallery. In this here at NTU, in this segment of the conference, we present you Dalit rap performance and conversation. So before going into the rap performance and conversation, I just would like to give you a brief introduction into the event. So the caste system in India condemns a huge section of people as outcast untouchables on the basis of their birth in the caste hierarchy. Caste discriminations, both overt and subtle, against the outcasts, who now name themselves Dalits, persist into contemporary times. However, the caste system has always been contested by Dalits through Dalit art, literature, music, and songs. In recent times, Dalit hip hop has emerged as a potent countercultural art form through which Dalit rappers have not just spoken out against caste oppressions, but have asserted their Dalit identity while celebrating self respect. In this segment of the conference, join us for a performance by the Dalit rapper Sumit Samos, followed by a conversation with him moderated by Paul Adey. Sumit Samos is an anti-caste hip-hop artist from India. He completed his MA in Spanish language and literature at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, India. Over the last 4 years, he has been actively engaged in raising the issue of caste discrimination through his activism, writings, and music. He has traveled extensively across the country to different colleges, universities, and public protests, in which he has performed and spoken against caste practices. In 2019, he was featured amongst the 15 youths for the decade by Times of India. That's the newspaper. Paul Adey has been a practitioner of hip hop lyricism for nearly 20 years under the performance name of Capo. Throughout his career, he has performed at many of the UK and Europe's premier live music venues and published music on various record labels. His critical creative PhD thesis, I Gave You Power, the weaponization of intertextuality in hip hop lyricism, includes critical analysis of artists such as Nas, Kendrick Lamar, and Al Sweatshirt. So first we'll present you the performance, and the performance will be followed by a conversation with Paul and Sumit Samos. So once again, welcome you all.
Hello everyone, this is Sumit Samos. I'm speaking to all of you from India. I'm an anti-caste hip-hop artist. Today I'm going to present in front of you 4 tracks on caste. The first track is called Caste 101. Caste 101 explores the question of caste discrimination in higher educational institutions, where students coming from marginalized caste backgrounds and untouchable communities are discriminated because they enter these institutions through affirmative actions. And the students coming from high caste and dominant caste backgrounds discriminate them, saying they don't have merit. Apart from dealing with this question of merit, I'm also going to talk about the disproportionate presence of a tiny percentage of high caste and dominant caste groups across institutions in India. So here we go, it's called Caste 101. Yeah, Sumit Samos, representing Dalit community from India. Bondage in the caste nation, resources, land, education, looting for the 1,000 year steel blending reservation, provision in the constitution given by Baba Sahib for the oppressed representation. This ain't your charity, no poverty, elevation. Academics, media, bureaucracy, justice system, private sector, politics, cinema, journalism. Bunch of you top caste are in overpopulation. We build your houses, we till your lands. We produce your foods with the artisans. It's our sweat and blood, so here you stand. Don't teach us merit, you good for nothing clans. We build your houses, we till your lands. We produce your foods with the artisans. It's our sweat and blood, so here you stand. Don't teach us merit, you good for nothing clans. Caste 101, yeah, Caste 101. Caste 101, Caste 101. In India, a tiny percentage of high castes dominate all spheres of life, and they discriminate students and employees coming from marginalized caste backgrounds and untouchable communities everywhere they go. You made me question my birth, my parents, my human existence, color of my skin, my tongue, etiquette, mannerism. I read Ambedkar, gained some wisdom. My politics is holistic, quality prolific, long range ballistic. No please, no solicit in my policy. Even your holy Ganga can't wash away your unholy shit. Educate, agitate, organize, never exclude, appropriate, stigmatize. When you see injustice, never close your eyes, always choose a side. I'm speaking the hard substance, raising the bass like an antidote, healing my scars. Sticking my broken wings, filling the gap. I'm conscious enough, know the real and the fast. Too many green snakes lying in the grass. Doing something real, I'm tired of the trash. The social system of the country makes me aghast. My ancestors say it doesn't have a fix, it only needs a blast. Baba Sahib says life should be great, doesn't matter how far it lasts. We build your houses, we till your lamps, we produce your foods, we the artisans. It's our sweat and blood, so here you stand. Don't teach us merit, you good for nothing plans. Don't teach us merit, you good for nothing plans. Caste 101, Caste 101, Caste 101, Caste 101. The second track is called Alag in Hindi, which translates to the other in English. This track deals with the question of otherization of untouchable community in India. The untouchables in India form around 20% of the total population, who are also known as Dalits. The otherization of Dalits in India does not merely happen through physical segregation in villages and small towns, but also in terms of accessing resources, land, dignified job opportunities, and institutions. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, one of the tallest leaders of Dalits in India, once said, "I have no homeland." And this track resonates the feeling of being othered and not having a homeland in India. So here we go, the track is called Alag. शुरू हुआ जिंदगी का तेरे पास सब कुछ था ना मेरे पास कुछ था मेरे घर और सिर्फ इनजस्टिस था अभी तक पता नहीं चला ये घर कहाँ जस्टिस का कैसे मैं कहता ये तुझको थिएटर में चलता था तेरा ही डिस्को तूने जो किया है मेरे ही वजूद को डिस्टोर्ट अब सुन मेरी डिस्कोर्स पैदा हुआ छोटे जात में मुझे पता चला बाद में करने लगा नफरत में खुद से धीरे धीरे समझ में आने लगा जब बड़ा हुआ बाद में जब भी मुझे मौका मिला करने लगा बात में अलग थे अलग हम पहले भी अलग थे अलग हम अलग थे अलग हम पहले भी अलग थे अलग हम अपनापन तो कभी महसूस नहीं हुआ कैसे ये बताऊं देश से मेरा छोटा था मैं लेकिन पता था मुझे गलत और सही के फर्क के बीच में बचपन की दास्तान समझाऊं कैसे एहसास को उतारूं कागज में कैसे रहने दो वैसे पहले भी लड़े थे लड़ेंगे अभी जाति को तोड़ेंगे कभी ना कभी अलग थे अलग हम पहले भी अलग थे अलग हम अलग थे अलग हम पहले भी अलग थे अलग हम गाँव से शहर तक चेहरा ही बदला जाति तो ऐसा है जाति ही नहीं है भारतीय समाज के करते हो बातें इंसान की वजह तो नहीं है उसमें जो भी कुछ बचा है संविधान की वजह से पता नहीं अभी हम होते ही कहाँ पे उठूं मैं रोज पढ़ूं मैं अखबार देखूं मैं उसमें माता में अपने ही लोगों के बीच में ढूंढूं मैं कैसे मैं खुद को माता में अपने ही लोगों के बीच में ढूंढूं मैं कैसे मैं खुद को अलग थे अलग हम पहले भी अलग थे अलग हम अलग थे अलग हम पहले भी अलग थे अलग हम. The third track is called We Messed Up Big Time, We Need to Speak Up Right Now. This track is in English. It's a critique of the present day regime. Over the past few years, many big events have been happening in India. Farmers have been protesting on the streets against farm laws, which is against them. Muslim youths, innocent Muslim youths, have been put behind bars under seditious laws. Adivasis have been demanding a separate religious census code in India, saying we are no longer Hindus. GDP has been falling, violence on Dalits have been increasing, and this song talks about all of these issues. And it's a critique of the present day regime, as I told. So yes, let's go. The name of the song is We Messed Up Big Time, We Need to Speak Up Right Now. We messed up big time. Yeah. Big statue, big temple, competition ample. Well front stand by the closing the sample, they're reaching the people, we talking the panel. Propaganda media, it's spreading the campaign. Regime is paying the payment. Let me finish my sentence. TikTok, pictures, don't mistake. Ben Ching Chong, Ben TikTok. Nobody cares, the country affairs, the country a mess. Nobody cares, the country affairs, the country a mess. Followers drinking be home, Arya but IQ is zero. Burning is Rome, laughing is Nero. Farmers on the streets, lathi charge by police. Falling is GDP, you self-reliance, please. We messed up big time. We need to speak up now. We messed up big time. We messed up big time. We need to speak up now. We messed up big time. Yeah. Concept feudal violence on Dalits. Shame on India, nobody calls it. Who do we go for justice? There's his court, there's his police, collegium system. We are the cooks, they in the kitchen, buying the original politics. Sitting at center, going on national, sending their children to Harvard and Stanford. Where do we go? NAP privatized college and campus. Muslim youths going one by one to the prison. UAP selling cheap for this season. Adivasis won't dance for you. Then it's Sana on the census. They're no longer Hindu. Yeah, messed up big time. We need to speak up now. We messed up big time. We need to speak up now. We messed up big time. The last track is called Jati, which in English means caste. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had once told that the upper caste of India, even if they travel across the 7 seas, they would still carry caste with them. And in Hindi, there is a very popular phrase in India which is called Jati to Jati hi nahi hai. Caste never goes away. Indians in the 21st century, even the educated ones, the high caste, would talk about Black Lives Matter, they would talk about the Desi culture, but they would hardly talk about caste as a social level in India. Every day, every day Dalit sanitation workers die in the sewers and gutters, serving and cleaning the dirt and filth of the mainstream upper caste society, and nobody cares. And that's a reflection of the Indian caste society, and I'm going to talk about that through this song. It's called Jati to Jati hi nahi hai. Jati, 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 Jati. जाति तो यहाँ पे जाति नहीं है, क्या कुछ नहीं देखा यहाँ पे कुछ और बाकी नहीं है. देश है जाति है थिंग ऑफ द पास्ट. मेरे ही लोग जाके धोते गटर और रेलवे ट्रैक्स. प्राउड इंडिया देसी कल्चर ब्लैक लाइव्स मैटर यस, पर जाति की बात तो होती नहीं है. धर्म कहता इनका छोटे जात पाँव से निकले हैं, पाँव में रहने तो करो मत इनकी चिंता. चलते हैं समय के पन्नों पे नहीं था कुछ भी इनका. पुष्यमित्र से अशोका हमारी ही थी सभ्यता. हम ही है माचू पिचू, हम ही है इनका. जाति 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 Jati. चलते 2020 अखबार में खबर तो मिलते ही रहता है. दलित तो डेली दलते ही रहता है. दलदल में दलित, कीचड़ में कमल तो खिलते ही रहता है. शरीर अपना 100+ लेबर नंबर है. मौत के बाद भी यहाँ ना कोई कदर है. जीते जी बनना पड़ेगा कबाली, सामने तो सब यहाँ गबर है. जाति 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 जाति. Thank you so much Nottingham University for giving me this opportunity to speak about caste and present about caste in this amazing platform. Thank you so much once again.
Well, I wanted to first of all, before going into full detail in any question, I just wanted to congratulate you, Sumi, on your performances. They were immense performances. It was really impressive, and also it was good to see you performing again. You know, because we've had a little bit of experience. Like I've had previous conversations with you, and I've seen some of your previous work. So it was a real honor for you to share some of your more recent work. So yeah, welcome. And I wanted to say the first thing that there was a couple of things. There were two things that I noticed straight away regarding the performance. The first one is that I spoke to you in the past about how layered visually your performances are and how symbolic some of your music videos are. The things that you're doing in the music videos, the way that you're portraying yourself, it all seems to have meaning behind it. You know, it's preempted. Something that I noticed about the performances is you had the blue shirt, the blue cap, you even had the blue walls, and that's why I'm wearing the cap today, because I thought to represent. And I wanted to say, would you be able to elaborate on the reasoning behind your choice of the color blue, please?
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Paul, for the question. I always think that the color blue has played a significant role in terms of the Indian anti-caste movement in India. Dalits in anti-caste movement associate blue with the blue with self-respect, with dignity, and and it's very popularly used. Blue flags, and blue walls. Even Ambedkar wearing a blue suit in a blue coat. So I think it's been going on for more than 4 decades. It's very popular, and I wanted to use it so that people, they can easily relate with what I'm trying to say through my music. The moment the blue color comes on my background or my cap or the T-shirt, I think they immediately know that this person is a Dalit person. So there is a sense of fraternity. There is a sense of association among the people.
Yes, yeah, and it was like in our previous conversation during one of your other performances, where I think some of the lyrics was, I think you were wearing at the time. I think you were wearing a blue ribbon on your wrist, and I asked you about that, and you had a lyric that said "Jabim on our heads," and
Yes.
yeah, and I believe that refers to Dr. Ambedkar.
Yes, Jai Bhim means victory to Ambedkar. And Ambedkar wanted to annihilate caste system. Ambedkar wanted access to public water for the untouchables. Ambedkar wanted access to public space, access to education, access to the parliament for untouchables. So all the ideas he stood for. When we say Jai Bhim, it's almost like a greetings in the anti-caste movement in India. It's like saying victory to the ideas of Ambedkar.
That's amazing. I really like that idea. I mean, I guess uh, there's two ways I can kind of jump off that observation that you've just made. But I guess what we should do before going any further, for somebody like me or a member of the public, could you just give a little bit of history or J.R. Ambedkar, a little bit of background, if that's possible?
Yes, anti-caste movement in India has produced many leaders, but I think Dr. Ambedkar is the tallest among all of them. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the one who drafted the Constitution of India, but much before that, he fought for the rights of untouchables in India in the first half of 20th century. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar studied in Columbia University. He studied in London School of Economics. He wrote volumes of books on caste, philosophy, religion. He wrote books on law, labor, finance. He wrote a lot of, he did a lot of amazing work in India. He also represented the Viceroy's Executive Council under British India. He fought for minimum wage. He fought for unionization of workers. He fought for, like I said, access to water, access to public space. I think Dr. Ambedkar is the life breath of Dalits even today. I don't think there is a figure in India I don't think there's any other figure as tall as Ambedkar today. Most other political leaders in India have been patronized, have been promoted through initiatives of the government. But Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was someone who was always carried forward legacy, whose symbolisms were always carried forward by the untouchables from the slums. So that's why today you see, I don't think there are I don't think any political leader in India has as many as statues as Dr. Ambedkar has, and you will find them mostly in ghettos and slums.
Wow.
And Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is such a powerful figure that even today, when Dalits in the colony build a statue of Dr. Ambedkar, they're socially boycotted.
Right.
Yes, I mean that's how that's the symbol, that's the symbolism he stands for, being anti-caste.
Yeah. So I could tell that such by the passion in your answer to my question or to the observation, I can tell how much of an influence this Dr. Ambedkar's ideology or his thinking and his efforts towards the anti-caste struggle, how much it means to you. And that's one of the other things I wanted to say is, since getting used to hearing your lyrics and getting used to hearing what you say, you have a really unique way of using refrains or using choruses that kind of emphasize the point. You really you summarize this effort and this the sense of social injustice in your work. And often, I think in at least 3 or 4 of the songs that I've listened of yours recently, you mention Dr. Ambedkar in different contexts, but he's always there, always a really prominent figure. So yeah, thank you for providing me with some context on this person who is obviously of such influence.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do is, as I said at the beginning, there were 2 things that really shone out to me during your performances. The first one was the visual effort that you put into your work. You know, that side of the performance where you really want to provide people with a visual sense of your beliefs and the meaning behind your lyrics. But the other thing is what I wanted to highlight was the dexterity of your language use. You know, it's highlighted definitely within, you know, the differences between the first performance and the second. The first being spoken in English, clearly in English. You know, it shows that you've got a strong grasp of the English language. So much so that it's hard to explain. But because I'm not coming from a similar background to you, but I've practiced in the same art form, that I know that you have a very strong grasp of rap lyricism. The way that you control language is, I resonate with it. And I wanted to ask about your use of, you know, a Western language and your use of your own dialect or your own tongue. I wanted to ask how you got that grasp of the English language. How have you managed to be able to control it so well in your performances? Have you had influences in learning the English language?
Well, when I was a child, I experienced caste discrimination. I experienced caste discrimination, but I also saw how caste regulated normal life in the village. And one of the thing I could always know, realize as a child was that learning English can give you some social mobility. Learning English can get you out of that, village. And village is very rigid when it comes to caste. And that's what even my parents always encouraged me to learn English. So I would go to the market and buy 10 rupee English books, English texts, just to learn English. And I kept doing it for quite some time. And when I entered in, and I always knew that there was something wrong in the society that was happening around, but I couldn't articulate it. I entered the university space. I saw student activism happening all around me. I started reading a lot of anti-caste literature. I reading a lot of stuffs. I started reading. It gave me a language to articulate myself, and that also came through English. Most of the literature, in my language, there's hardly any anti-caste literature yet. I mean, I can only name 1 or 2. There are not many.
Okay,
So
yeah,
English
yeah.
was, English was both my way to, way for social mobility. But also at the same time, English was a language that gave me the voice that I always wanted to speak, the concerns that I always had inside my heart, the anguish, the pain, the sufferings that I'd seen around me. English gave me English gave me a platform to articulate all of those experiences.
Yeah. No, that's amazing to hear, and very revealing regarding your use of English as well. I wondered whether we could just briefly go into your influences regarding hip hop culture and rap music, because you have such a grasp on the art form, and for it to be, I know that you say that you learn English as a child, or you perfect knowledge of English growing up, but still that doesn't equate to having such a great grasp of rap lyricism. Can we briefly go through any of your influences regarding kind of that African American influences?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I don't know how this came into India, but I think when I was growing up, I could hear people talking about Nas, 50 Cent, people talking about Ice Cube, and yes, I mean, I could listen to these people, and somewhere, of course, I did not understand much of what they were saying, but I could always think there's something common between them and me. There's some life experiences that we might share similar. And yes, that was just one thing I hardly knew. I could hardly grasp rap lyrics at that point of time. But once I started rapping, I realized, I read more. I started to, delve more into the lyrics, and I started understanding more. Yes, I think that's how I started moving forward. And I also wanted to make sure that I'm not copying any of them. I'm coming
Yeah,
from a slum
yeah,
in India. I didn't want to copy any of their accents. I didn't want to copy any of their gestures. I didn't want to copy any of their content writing. That would look very fake, or the use of jargons. That would look very
yeah.
fake, and that's not me. I wanted originality, and that's why I did something very strange. After a point of time, I stopped listening to, I stopped paying attention to the lyrics.
Wow, yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah,
I started paying attention only to the flow that they
yeah,
do and the topic that they choose. But I stopped listening to the lyrics because I would end up, imitating some of the words or jargons,
yeah,
and I didn't want that to happen.
yeah.
Yeah,
I can, now you said that, it completely opens up that the world, that creative space that you're in when you rap. I mean, just thinking about rap some more. Why is it that you chose it? What did it choose you as this kind of language of oppression that you could kind of articulate your sense of injustices? It was it the energy in the way that you perform it? Is that why you chose rap, or did rap choose you? Did it just kind of, were you just immersed by it and it just felt right, or did you make that conscious decision? I'm going to choose this artistic discipline in order to originally kind of illustrate my situation.
I think I always call myself an accidental artist. I never wanted to be an artist in the first place, and I
Right.
think the way, like, I think rap always gave me that street vibe, the vibe
Yeah.
where you can just be yourself and you're from the streets. And I was not from the urban streets. I was from a village slum, which these two are very different things, but the vibe was
Yeah.
very similar. I didn't
Yeah.
have to somehow to learn classical music. It needs a lot of money. It needs a lot
Yeah.
of sophistication. And classical music in India, classical art forms in India at present day are appropriated by dominant communities, dominant groups, which is very difficult for someone like me to access. And I think
Mm.
rap was not difficult to access. I could just sit there. You just have to put rhyming into poetry.
Yeah.
You just have to do that. And that's the best thing you can do. And you can just be yourself. You can be angry. There's nobody to judge your attitude. Well, that's
Mm.
what you are. That's who you are. And I was always myself when I rapped. I could
Yeah.
find myself there. I think rap chose me more than me choosing rap. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely tell in the performances and the videos that I've seen of your work. You can definitely tell. You're utilizing it to the energy that you put into the performances. It's powerful and it's moving. And when you combine that with your grasp of English and the way that you contextualize your situation and your community's situations, it is a very moving experience. Because it's for me, it's reasonably unique because the artists that I listen to, although they do articulate levels of oppression, it's not like you. You really speak you speak loudly about your community, and you really are trying to uh, create awareness. I mean, one thing that I was going to ask about your use of English, it is it used, do you predominantly use English? I know that you've explained that your use of English was to try and break those kind of social constraints that you were presented with as a child. But now you're older and you still use English. Is it a way of getting your message out further than you might be able to if you spoke in your traditional dialect? Is it a way of making people like me become aware of the situation that's going on in India?
Yes, definitely. I think English, I use English for both two purposes. English is universal. Like you speak here, I think someone sitting in Denmark can understand. Someone sitting in the States, someone sitting in Australia can understand. But also, English gives you English also gives you that idea of transcendence. I mean, at least for me, it has given me the idea of transcendence, where I'm not biased. When I speak English, nobody can see which caste I belong to. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just a universal fellow. I can just be in the States, or I can just be in the UK, and I can talk to you about Sherlock Holmes, maybe, or I can talk to you about some theologian that I read. It's universal. It transcends all barriers, and that feels amazing when, like, I can talk to you today without thinking of, like, you might not know which caste I am. Like, we just are speaking about hip hop. We are speaking about the use of English language. We are far apart, 1,000 miles apart, and we can still speak and understand each other. I think English gives, like I said, it helps me communicate to a universal audience, larger audience, but also it gives me that idea of transcendence for my identity.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that. I never thought of trying to utilize a Western language, an English language, and the freedom that it could create, or the sense of the transcendence that it created. I kind of associate English almost negatively sometimes because of its because of the connotations with it over the years, and the oppressive nature of the English language in some ways. But yeah, for you to say that it's such a freeing, it allows you to to speak to somebody like me from such a distance, and for us to open this conversation and to broaden people's horizons. It's really it's it's something to behold. Yeah, I feel very humbled to be able to speak to you. But yeah, I wanted to, if we could, is like go into a little bit of detail about the performances, if that's possible.
Yeah.
Because I kind of, the first one, Caste 101.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. It's like it's entry level. It's educational. It tells you all about your situation, and it provides that context so quickly and so accurately about your situation for somebody like me. That's what I think is very powerful about your work, and it leads back to your use of choruses or refrains or bridges within your lyrics, where you kind of re-emphasize, or you use hook lines, like rappers do. You use those hook lines that enable it to get into my brain, so I don't forget. You got those lyrics that catch me, that hook me in. And when it comes to a song like this, Caste 101, you're explaining this very it's a complex detailed situation, but the way that you present it really helps, and it strengthens my understanding of where you are. So I was going to ask, within the title, does it suggest that the track is aimed at an audience outside of your core community, your primary community?
Yes, definitely. Caste 101 starts with bondage in the caste nations, land resources, education, looting for the 1,000 years, still blaming reservation. Dr. Ambedkar said every caste is a nation. That's why I use the plural of, that's why I use the plural nations. Every caste is a nation because every caste is an enclosed community. They marry within themselves, they live for themselves, they think of each other, and they think of themselves as superior to someone else or inferior to someone else. Each caste is a nation, and I'm saying bondage in the caste nation. We are bonded in the nations of caste. Bondage in the caste nations, land resources, education, looting for the 1,000 years. So here I'm telling that the dominant caste communities have looted the marginalized caste groups in terms of land, resources, education for thousands of years, and now they are blaming reservation. And reservation means in India affirmative action. It's affirmative action where a small group of people from the marginalized caste groups they get entry to educational institutions and job opportunities, which is hardly 2% of the job opportunities in India. So now they blame that. The dominant caste groups in India have a habit of blaming affirmative action as the they blame affirmative action for bringing up caste, which is not true. Affirmative action came in India only after the constitution was drafted, and that's like post 1947, whereas caste has been existing for thousands of years. And then I go on to say, we build your houses, we till your lands, we produce your foods, we the artisans, it's our sweat and blood, so here you stand, don't teach us merit, you good for nothing clans. And so this is, I'm trying to create a dichotomy between the producing class of the country, the laboring class of the country, and the one who doesn't labor at all. Right?
Yeah.
So we build your houses, we till your lands, we produce your foods with the artisans. It's our sweat and blood. So here you stand. So you don't don't teach us about merit, that just because through affirmative actions we get into universities and job opportunities, you don't tell us that we don't have merit. It is we who carry merit, because it is we who sustain and carry forward this nation with our sweat and blood. And I think that's what caste is, and that's what India is for me. It's a gap, it's a division between the producing class and the people who don't produce anything.
Yeah, and go on. What were you going to say?
No, yeah, that's all.
And once again, just want to emphasize how quickly you summarize a very complex concept. And in the lyrics, you summarize it with a lot of impact, a lot of power, very quickly. And I think that, going back to the influence of hip hop, I think that's what it is there for. Like you were saying, how rap kind of chose you. Perhaps it chose you because it's a way of presenting this powerful message and this detailed piece of history in such a concise way, like in such a short amount of words with the most amount of impact. And I think you really do that often. I wanted to just speaking about your lyrics that you're talking about, we build your houses, we till your lands, we produce your foods, those lyrics, it reminded me of a previous performance that we spoke about. It was called "You Could Never Break Me," and there was a lyric there that I thought was really poignant that we spoke about in the past, and I wondered whether we could bring it. The lyric was, "If your history is a drive, I'm the dark dynamite planted on the roadside." Would you be able to elaborate on that if we've got time?
Yes. Yeah. So I come from a region. I come from a region where which has a lot of conflict going on, and the conflict is between armed groups and the police, armed group and the police, and where every time the armed groups have to stop the police from entering their zone, they put dynamites on the roadside, to blast off. And that's just a metaphor. I'm saying that if your history is oppressive, your history is dominant, your history does not treat us as human beings, as human beings having any dignity and self-respect. So if your history is a drive, if you're going through a drive, if your history is going like this, I want to be that dark dynamite planted on the roadside, so that I can blast off your history. So it's just a metaphor that I'm trying to use, that I've seen around my place.
But once again, it almost had the elements of that metaphysical power to it. Like you were talking about, it's kind of attempting to disrupt and blast history and take away these oppressive forces. I think it's brilliant. I was going to say, just relating back before we move on to your second performance, whilst we're still talking about Caste 101, there was one other element of the lyrics that just caught my ear, and it was, how you use the color blue, and I know that your lyrics always have these strong meanings, and also your visuals have this strong symbolic meanings. One of the lyrics was, "Too many green snakes lying in the grass. Give me something real. I'm a tiger of the class." Is that right?
I'm tired of the trust.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
I've missed. Okay, yeah. I was going to say the too many green snakes line. Does the color green also have a symbolic meaning?
Yes. So there was an anti-caste leader, very popular anti-caste leader called Kansi Ram, and he said that there are also people who are from the dominant caste groups who are like green snakes in the green grass. They want to pretend they are your ally. They pretend that they support you, but it's just political rhetoric. But they're green snakes in the green grass. They're pretentious people, but really they don't support you. And I'm just saying that, too many greens, too many. Can you repeat that again?
It says, "Too many green snakes lying in the grass. Give me something real. I'm a tiger of the trust."
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that I have already realized who these green snakes are. Who are these people who appropriate? Who are these people who just give political rhetorics, but they don't do anything concrete? And so don't give me that. I'm tired of that. So I'm just talking about the falsehood of solidarities that exist in India for the Dalit people.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah, I understand now. Thank you for explaining that. So I was going to go into, the strong grasp of English, but I think we've covered that side of things. I think, your use of English and what reasons behind it. So I think if it's all right, we'll move on to the next performance, which I believe was titled.
Yes.
Yeah, and so what I was when I was listening to the song, it kind of got me thinking. You know how it's presented in your own tongue, in your own language. It got me thinking about how your music might be received in your own communities. You're from a rural village in India, and I know that we've spoken in the past that there's it's a little bit of a struggle sometimes because hip hop or rap music hasn't quite reached those areas yet in the way that you might like it to. So just thinking about that, the dual use of language, or the dichotomy between your use of English and your use of your own dialect and your own language. How do you feel? How is your music being received by your own community, by your own peers?
Yes, in rural India, not many people listen to hip hop. So initially, when I started rapping, I don't think many people, could understand what I was trying to say. They found it very strange looking at this new art form. But now, slowly through smartphones, people watch YouTube videos and hip hop. So now they're getting used to it. Um, I think even now there's not a lot of space to go and perform hip hop in rural, but people are receiving it slowly. And my community, they have always been very welcoming of my art form and what I've been doing. They've been really encouraging. They've of my art, and they encourage other people also to follow the same art form. And since now I hopefully I'll get into Oxford. Like, I'll be moving to Oxford in October, so that's a big that's a big thing for me, because people used to think that only some random street guys do hip hop. These people don't study. These people don't have any knowledge. They don't know anything. Right. But now, when my name came in the newspapers, in the TV medias, I think everybody is saying that, look, this guy does hip hop. This guy goes for protests. Also, at the same time, this guy can write an amazing thesis. He's studying really well, so he can do all of this together. So I think that's a positive message for the artists, young artists who want to do well in art.
Yeah, it leads on to the next question that I had was, you seem to be a pioneer. You seem to be brave enough to embrace a genre of music or an art form that wasn't being that was, it was looked upon as strange by certain elements of your community. But that didn't stop you. You embraced something new and you used it, and you're kind of a vessel for this message. Like you say, you're not just a performance artist. You've got the ability to travel to Oxford to do this thesis to prove that hip hop is a platform for more than what certain people expect of it. What I was going to say was, being a pioneer, being somebody who's brave enough to embrace this genre and perform and show how this art form can bring history to life and can blast the roadside of history. Who are the people who are following in your footsteps? Are there new? Who can we look out for from similar situations as yourself? Are there artists that you're aware of who we can kind of look out for, who you represent, or who's part of a collaborative or a collection of people?
Yes, definitely. I think there is a group called Casteless Collective from the south of India. They've been doing an amazing job. They're mostly singing in Tamil. It's a regional language. And there's a rapper, very popular rapper called Arivu. He's a Dalit guy, and we've been good friends. And so yeah, I think he's one of them. There's someone called Ginni Mahi. She's a Dalit woman from the north of India. Yeah, so these are a few names who've been doing a good job.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Yeah, I'd be interested in in following those guys as well. That sounds good. But yeah, speaking about the song, there was I'm going to do a really bad job of trying to get a translation of some of the lyrics. Oh, one other thing I wanted to say. I'm bringing it back to rap music, and I know that we want to address other issues as well. But I heard, you know, the differences between the previous performance that I've heard of you before and these ones. The beats that you were using, the instrumental accompaniment was more modern. It was kind of like that modern form of hip hop where you're speaking in double time. It reminded me of a rap artist called Denzel Curry. I don't know whether you have heard of that rapper.
Yeah, I think I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the way that you harness that kind of positive energy, and that real just that sense of power that you use with your flows and your rhyming, you know, it really does kind of link with Denzel Curry. So I thought I'd bring that up. But again, it's a refrain, a hook line that you use in other. And I'd like to know the translation, if that's possible. I think you say alate, alage harm. And I was just going to ask what that meant.
Oh, I'm saying that we've been always the other.
Right. Okay.
We've always been the other, and even now we continue to be other.
Yeah.
And this being the other is not just in terms of, you know, segregation in villages and small towns where Dalit localities are segregated. Not just in terms of the segregation, physical segregation, but even in terms of access to land, access to resources, access to modern spaces, many a times. And even psychologically, we are the other. Every place we go, the moment they come to realize our surnames, the moment they come to know our caste, we become the other from that place. So I'm saying we've been always the other, even in matrimonial sites. The moment they come to know your caste, like everybody in India in matrimonial sites, they write their caste and the surnames so that you know who you want to marry. So if I put my name, if I put my caste, then I'm the other. Nobody will choose to marry me, or let's say any person from my community. Right? So there's a lot of way through which othering happens. Or let's say I'm going to face an interview, job interview, or an interview in a university. The moment they come to know my caste, where I come from, or my surname, they'll make sure that I'm the other who gets less mark than the students who come from dominant caste groups. And it's very difficult to explain how this otherization happens. It's not very upfront. Nobody's telling you when they otherize you. It's very psychological.
Yeah. It leads on to one of the final questions. It's just looking forward. Looking forward with a positive kind of mind frame. Just thinking about the situation that you highlight so well. You mentioned even at university level, even within educational institutions, there's still that implicit caste kind of constraints there. Even when you look for work in safe havens that I believe should be safe havens, like places of education should be diverse and open to change and adapt typically. Going forward, I've got two questions, to try and interview. Going forward, how do you see things progressing in the country regarding the anti-caste movement and untouchability? Are people becoming more accepting? Are things easing? Or like you were saying about the alate alageham, that you've always been other and you always will be? Can you see a way forward through your use of artistic expression or any way over? Can you see like a positive future?
Well, through social media, there are a lot of discussions that are happening around caste, at least for the last 3 to 4 years, which is a very positive thing. But in terms of resources, in terms of land, in terms of dignified livelihood, there's a lot of things that needs to be done, and atrocities happens even now. Atrocities on Dalits is an everyday reality in India. Caste atrocities, and that has not stopped, and that continues to be existing. Even if it doesn't really matter whether I go to Oxford or not. It's just one individual among my community who's going to Oxford. What matters is, and that does not mean caste has been eradicated. It's just one individual. So I think for caste to be eradicated, or to see a better future, I think it should be the dominant caste groups, the high caste groups in India, who have to do a lot of efforts, put a lot of efforts in making sure that the oppression that they have been committing, the exclusion that they have been practicing, they need to stop it, and that should come from them. They will not listen to someone like me. They'll never listen to someone like me because I'm already below them. I'm inferior to them. They won't listen to me. Or else the governments have to intervene in different areas of our life, socioeconomic, cultural, different aspects of our life. They have to intervene. And for them to intervene, the marginalized caste groups also have to have some share in power, which we don't have yet. So it's a long way. I don't know where it's going to, lead. Only time will tell.
But I wanted to say, how you say you going to Oxford, it won't make the difference, but it's I think it's a monumental achievement that you're making. And me thinking about my artistic discipline, my rap, how I try to articulate my own sense of self. It's it's very humbling to speak to somebody like you who uses the art form. You're a vessel for spreading this message, and I think it is important. And I think what you're doing is very important. So I just wanted to say, it's been a honor to meet you and to share ideas with you and to just kind of get to know the person behind the music. Just one final question, because I know we're running out of time. I guess I just wanted to just try to re-emphasize or just recapture your objective. What's your overall objective through your use of the struggles that you and your community have seen and the atrocities that you've lived through, using rap as an art form. What is it that you would like, to achieve? What is your main objective, your outcome? What would you like to see happen? Where would you like to be?
Well, once I go out and come back, definitely I want to make sure that through my music, I bring together more people from my community. I bring about awareness among them, and of course, it's a very small scale. But I think art, hip hop is a great medium to bring youths together and to to raise awareness about higher education, to make to make them aware about their rights. I just hope I can do the small things once I come back.
Well, I wish you luck, Sumit. It's been an honor to meet you.
Thank you, Paul.
And thanks again for your time.
Thanks. Thank you.
Well, that was a wonderful conversation, and on behalf of the Post-Colonial Studies Conference, I would like to thank Paul and Sumit Samos for that very wonderful conversation, and thank you all of you for being present here, or being a great audience. Thank you very much.